Hello and welcome. My name is Elena, and here I talk about books, what I've been reading, what I am reading, and what I'd like to read. It has been a while since I have filmed. Not that I have been missed, but anyway, it's been a hard follow-up to Main Character Summer. This fall season has just been stressful, anxiety-ridden. Work is proverbially kicking my booty. So why not sit down on this Monday evening and talk to you about books? I have been thinking about this. It's December now, and of course it's that final countdown. Everyone's checking in on themselves and their due dates and deadlines and mergers and acquisitions. And I just want to gently remind myself, and you, if you are open to it, that book numbers and the number of books read is just that. They're just numbers. When I think about equating my entire year of reading to a number, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, why would I do that? It's not about the number of books that I've read and can check off and, have, flaunt on my Goodreads or Storygraph. It's the memories of these books that I've read that I want to walk away with. And the number of books you read, whether it's 20, 75, 100 and plus, is just that. It's just a number. It does not equate to your worth as a reader or your sense of a reader, whether you consider yourself a lazy or serious reader. A number is a number, and you have to understand that as a society that evolves around metrics, right? We always want to quantify, qualitative, quantitative measures of what we're doing. And everything, it's like brush your teeth for 3 minutes. Preheat the oven to 400 for 4 minutes. Run for 6.2 miles. Track that. Track your steps. Track your books. Track your period. Although that might be actually a healthy for health reasons, but track this, track that, and we're a tracker laden society, and I find that sometimes I'm tracking more than I'm doing. So I just want to remind myself and you that no matter how many books you've read this year, you've read, and that is a part of your reading journey. And you know what? Sometimes you don't even have to equate it to something, even an emotion. You read, so you read. It doesn't have to be this feat. Reading, like all relationships in life and all things, needs to have balance and be approached in this healthy mindset to create some sort of cadence where you're not feeling that reading is stressing you and causing anxiety. And like all relationships, it shouldn't be that hard. So this is just a reminder. Maybe you didn't make it to the reading goal you wanted to. That reading is just a number. However, if you are 1,000 pages into War and Peace, my friend, keep going. You've got this. It's worth it. You're almost there. I am so proud of you. It is a feat. It is a journey. It is decades of reading in itself. So if you are so near the finish line and you just need that boost of confidence and motivation, you got this. Keep going. And if you are loathing yourself for having chosen the book that you currently are reading, this is your call to put it down. it is okay not to finish a book. Yes, DNF, my friend. DNF it and move on. It is actually that simple. I find that humans are best at complicating everything. No, you do not have to finish a book. Yes, if your life goal is to finish Infinite Jest, maybe now is just not the time, and that's okay. There have been books that I have put down and picked up later and was so grateful that I had that maturity to say, not now. Sometimes you have to be in the headspace, especially to take on some sort of serious literature. But I digress. Speaking of serious literature, or the favorite book of the year, it's that time to share. Oh, Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. Yes, this is my favorite book. I'm calling it. I know it's just the 4th of December, but I am calling it. This is my favorite book of the year. This 188-page little novel that I had never heard of is this sort of almost dark take on like Secret Garden / Anne of Green Gables sans Diana and friendships. It follows the life from birth to early death. That's right. This book starts with Janet. She's found lying in her mother's lace gown in the Scottish Highlands with a knife in her back. And this is how the book starts. But this book is all about from birth to adolescence to sibling bonding and rivalries and betrayals. And it just, one of the reasons I think this touched me so much at the beginning of the year when I read it is because it reminds me of the young adult books by Tamora Pierce I used to read and covet as a child. You know, like the Alana series, The Hands of the Goddess, The Protector of the Small. These were young girls who wanted to be knights, and they would dress up as knights and, you know, band their breasts and bosoms and answer the call of saving their people themselves and serve and have purpose and want to be other than they are accepted as, which is as women. And Janet, above being this sort of outcasted heroine, she's bookish, but she dares to be curious. She's apart because she asks the questions, or she wants to know the behaviors of adults in a way that is almost seen as brazen, but yet it's curiosity. And it's almost astounding to me that her parents would be so offset, because I'm like, wouldn't you have the same thoughts when you were a kid? But she remains steadfast with her curiosity, and if I am anything, it is curious. So I found a true friendship with Janet, and was truly saddened that her life was ended early, but just the depiction of nature, her friendship with animals, the grounding aspects that of any place she can go, it's her, the world is her oyster, so to speak, except the little or big estate that she lives on with her family. But it is a riveting read, and I am so glad I read this, so thank you to Book Club. I just finished reading Claudia Piñero's Elena Knows. Claudia Piñero is an Argentinian-born writer known for her crime thriller or crime fiction writing. And Elena Knows it follows a day's duration of Elena, who is a 63-year-old woman living with Parkinson's, and the chapters sequentially follow her intake of her levodopa medicine so that her body can actually respond to her brain. And she also has a condition in her sternonucleoid muscle where she cannot lift her head apart from a certain distance. So she walks slowly, looking head down, and that's how she recognizes people by their feet. And she is on a mission to discover who killed or the cause of death of her daughter, Rita. Rita is her daughter, her caregiver. She was found hanging by a rope at the church's belfry, and everyone's saying it's a suicide, and Elena is saying, I know different. So she is on the prowl to call in a debt to another female. And this is so much not the crime thriller that I would think it would be described as such. The detail to character development, the vivacity. Everyone thinks she's this, old decrepit grandma, but the wit, her mind is sharp. And it's such a great take on what it is like to be 63. She's not young, but she is still in want of life. She wants to live even after experiencing Parkinson's and the death of her daughter. It's facing mortality. It's facing, woman relationships. It's facing mother-daughter relationships, the caretaker to the patient relationships. It's talking about the trauma of witnessing your parents age. And all of this in this short novel, but the way that we just follow her thoughts and her train of memories is quite valuable, I think, to connecting to Elena and to her plight of facing her mortality. And at this point in her life, completely alone, she has no family left, but she still has a purpose to discover the reason that her daughter died. And so it's almost as if this gives her an extra reason to live, to move, to function. But it also begs the question I found myself wondering, what's next for her? Does she go into palliative care? The emotions of fear and loss are thoroughly captured in this. And I was riveted and incredibly grateful I've read it. I just also finished reading last week The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, and I am currently reading Agnes Gray by Brontë. Yes, the younger of the Brontë sisters. Interesting fact, or annoying fact, almost angering fact. Charlotte Brontë, Anne's older sister who did write Jane Eyre, did not want to republish The Tenant of Wildfell Hall after Anne's death because she said it was not conducive or a replica of Anne's moral character or judgment. She was basically sort of calling it an adolescent's fool's errand of trying to write. And I enjoyed reading the criticisms of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, especially the men coming in hot, as you know they are wont to do. No, of course they couldn't set this one out. But even the women, there's a point in the book where the husband calls his wife a confounded slut. Okay, go off, Anne. And Agnes Gray is more of a autobiographical tale of Anne's life because both are governesses. And reminds me of another book I read earlier by Rebecca West, The Fountain Overflows, where the father leaves the family essentially destitute by speculating, gambling, whatever. Whatever sort of trial these wonderful authors throw our way, these fathers are tantalized by gambling, by alcohol, what have you, and these families are left to fend for themselves and go into service as a governess. And reading Agnes Gray, it's also short, but I'm currently reading it, I'm enjoying it, and also am so glad that I do not have to teach young children. She teaches just a few, but let alone a classroom. God, the one decision I made correctly. But when you're reading a book and you find yourself sort of, a light bulb goes off in your brain and you're like, wait. So for the past couple of weeks, it's kind of weird. but I have been thinking about Sebastian Flight in Brideshead Revisited. I've read this book once, twice for sure, so either twice or thrice, it doesn't matter. But I've always recognized myself sort of in Charles Ryder. You know, he's sort of like Nick in The Great Gatsby. He's looking in, he's not a part of the family, he's supposed to be an unbiased narrator, but is he? So Charles Ryder is someone that I've always found interesting because this family, you know, sort of shaped this man. And yet lately I've been thinking about Sebastian Flight, the brother in the family, or well, one of them, who becomes an alcoholic, and I've been thinking maybe this book is less so about Charles, but it's more so about Sebastian and the fact that his family and individuals in society failed him as a young man, and they weren't able to accept him as a being. They could accept him for a while as a caricature, but not as an actual youth/man coming into his own to inherit this estate. And of course there's so much Catholic guilt in this book that I'm not Catholic, but the guilt part on frickin' point. Evelyn Waugh knew something about religious guilt, I will tell you. So I have been wanting to reread this for weeks now. So my next read is A.S. Byatt's Possession. She just recently died, an English author. So I will get to this sooner than later, I hope, because I'm just dying for a reread. And for 2024, I am just hoping to pay more attention to my wonderful library. I have in my possession many books that look at me and face me and just say, I am here for your pleasure. And I need to give them some love and attention. So for the first 6 months, my goal is to not spend any money on books, really on anything other than necessities, and just become very familiar with my actual bookshelf. We'll see how that goes. I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful. It's not going to be a New Year's resolution. It's not, whatever. It's just something that I want to be mindful of. And wherever you are this December, whether you're reading or not, or, you're bogged down by deadlines and work is kicking your booty as well. If you're spending time with family, if you're calling in extra therapy sessions, if you're ordering more McDonald's fries than you should be, and just be kind to yourself. Now this is, I don't know why we put so much pressure on the last month of the year. There is no pressure to get it right. There is another month after December. It's called January, and it'll be there. So whether you finish a book now or whether you start reading now or January, I hope you do so with the practice that the purpose of knowledge, joy, connection, curiosity, adventure, all of these things, and that first read in the year. My first read of the year actually wasn't that much of a highlight, but wherever you are, I thank you for watching this and for joining me, and hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye.